you have Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He's taken a lot of heat over a report that he had an order to kill everyone on board a Venezuelan boat of alleged drug traffickers, which led to a second strike that killed the 2 survivors. He boasted about these strikes several times on social media, but denies the report and insists everything was done lawfully. Now, officials on both sides of the aisle, they're not so sure about all that. Take a look.
We should get to the truth. I don't think he would be foolish enough to make this decision to say, kill everybody, kill the survivors, because that's a clear violation of the law of war.
If that occurred, that would be very serious, and I agree that would be an illegal act. This is completely outside of anything that has been discussed with Congress, and there is an ongoing investigation.
We're going to have a public hearing. We're going to put these folks under oath, and we're going to find out what happened, and then there needs to be accountability.
This rises to the level of a war crime if it's true.
Can you talk a little bit about the strikes and the controversy around Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth?
I don't know anything about it. He said he did not say that, and I believe him 100%.
So you don't know if there was
You're talking about the 2 men?
The second strike to kill the 2 men.
No, he said he didn't do it. He said he never said it.
Would you be okay with that if he did?
He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision.
So the report claims Hegseth specifically gave the order to kill them all. Is this why Congress is motivated to do its job with some oversight? Is this a bridge too far? Is this the thing that's going to make everyone come together and say, okay, enough is enough?
Well, I know this is why those Democratic vets put out that video last week that people said, why would they need to say what's already obvious, that, you know, military personnel, they don't need to, they can refuse to act on an illegal order. And people were like, yeah, but there's nothing like that. Well, this is a situation where there were clearly in the cameras 2 men on like part of.
And here's the thing. She has no idea what the actual order was. So she's just saying whatever the Democrat Party says. And this just is another spin from the Democrats, who have nothing else to talk about because they're losing in every aspect. Whatever happened to the Epstein files, they stopped talking about that. They stopped talking about the whole transgender thing, men and women's sports. They fought about that. They stopped talking about the whole abortion thing, women's rights. So they just keep going from thing to thing to try to grab something and try to get Trump to look bad and his administration to look bad, or try to get him impeached. Where are they going to continue? Let's take a look.
Parts of the explosion, and then they're killed. So the likelihood of this is it's not a war. We're not at war with Venezuela, but it's murder. It's flat out murder. And anyone that acted on those orders could be held on.
And the thing is, we are at war with any country that is having drugs poured into the United States of America. Trump has already declared war against the cartels, certain cartels. He's already declared war. And these are the same people who say that they want America safe. And these are the same people who say, oh, if there's illegal immigrants that are actually committing crimes in the U.S., then yeah, we want them out. But what happened to the Maryland dad? Remember? Oh, he's just a Maryland dad. This man was a cartel member. He was a member of a gang that have people human trafficked. They kidnap kids and have them sex trafficked, and they pour drugs in our communities. He had every tattoo that indicate that he was part of the gang. There was an informant who said, yeah, he's part of the gang. Yet when they do have the evidence that shows that, yes, this person was the worst of the worst and we're going to deport him, they defend him. Just like they're doing right now. They're defending the fact that Hegseth in the military took out a cartel members who was trying to deliver drugs into the U.S. to try to kill U.S. citizens. They're saying this is murder. What about the drug cartel members who continuously flood our country with drugs? Aren't they accountable for anything? So whatever Trump does, it's just not good. even if he's trying to fight crime on and have a war on drugs, a true war on drugs. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's continue.
On war crimes. Am I?
And
Yeah,
the most ironic thing about this is, so he's doing all of this against Venezuela. And let me just be clear, Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela is a horrible, cruel, corrupt dictator. The day he leaves, whether it is to a hellhole somewhere or if he dies and goes to hell, I will be very happy. But I think America needs to ask themselves, do we want to perpetrate regime change in the region? Donald Trump is trying to convince Americans that this is about fighting drugs, and this is because Maduro released crazy people, opened up the jails and the insane asylums and sent people here. That second part is flat out lies. There is no evidence of that. On the drug,
Is she dumb? What happened to the people in Colorado? What happened to the people that they've captured here that are nationals of that country, Venezuela? They are criminals. They let out the worst of the worst, and they came into this country during Biden's administration, during the administration of Obama. They are here terrorizing U.S. citizens, and she has the nerve to say that that's not the case. They always try to spin it to where Trump is somehow bad. He's somehow seen in a negative light. It doesn't make any sense. Drug cartel member, bad. But if you side him next to Trump, I don't know. I don't know if he's really a drug cartel member. I don't know. I don't know if he's a gang member. What are these people doing?
drug aspect, very little of the drugs that go through Venezuela actually come to the United States. That is not the preferred path for drug dealers. The preferred path actually goes through the Pacific coast, through Central America. And you know what, Trump?
How the hell would this woman, who has no background in law enforcement, no background in intel, would know how the drug cartel members funnel their drugs unless she knows someone that's in it? How would she know how they do it? I would think that the people in the federal government that work in intel would have an enormous amount of information, and they have informants that would tell them exactly how they funnel the drugs into the US. The United States is the #1 hub to have drugs in, to sell drugs. That's just the bottom line. This country is filled with drugs, and it's the #1 hub for these countries to put the drugs here. That's why he's dedicated them as war criminals, because they're trying to just destroy our country.
Did this weekend?
Tell.
He announced he was going to pardon the former Honduran president, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who actually is in U.S. prison right now with a 45-year sentence for having flooded the streets of the United States with cocaine for decades and decades.
Yeah.
This was a case that was investigated. The lead investigator in this was Trump's lawyer, the guy he's got like second in command at DOJ, Emil Bove. This is a guy, this Juan Hernandez, who boasted about, I'm going to get the gringos, I'm going to stuff cocaine up the gringos' nose. He got allegedly, or it was shown.
You see, she's trying to deflect on what's going on in Venezuela and these cartel boats that are trying to actively have drugs in our country. She's just trying anything to discredit Trump and Hegseth and anyone in his administration. We're going to take a look and see what Pete Hegseth and Trump has said.
We'll start with Pete, and then if you want, we'll take some questions at the end. Please, Pete.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. As you said, it has been a historic year at the Department of War. Recruiting and retention over this year are at the most historic levels our country has ever seen. I had a chance to be on a aircraft carrier destroyer over Thanksgiving. The spirit in our ranks since the election under President Trump is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it as a soldier myself in uniform, and I know a lot of you feel the same way. We've ripped out the DEI and the political correctness.
There's been a massive amount of applicants, recruits who are trying to join the military ever since Trump became president, and especially when Hegseth became the Department of War leader. An enormous amount, because he is a soldier's soldier.
It's all merit-based at the department. We're getting back to basics: accountability, training, readiness, lethality, and that's reviving that spirit. And Mr. President, we're rebuilding the military, historic investments. I just took briefings on the Golden Dome and F-47, next generation capabilities that are going to make sure that for generations to come, America has the most powerful, most capable, most lethal military in the world, which you have rebuilt once and we're rebuilding again. And then we're reestablishing deterrence and credibility. If you look at what happened, we deal with every day the outcome of what happened in Afghanistan, the debacle under Joe Biden. We just dealt with it in the streets of Washington, D.C. with those 2 National Guardsmen. And then what happened on October 7th with Hamas, what happened in Ukraine, a war that never would have started under President Trump. We're having to rebuild that. So whether it's freedom of navigation and taking the fight to the Houthis, whether it's Midnight Hammer, those beautiful B-2s going 37 hours back and forth, undetected, delivering with precision.
That was
and
crazy.
Iran
That was
not
pretty
getting nuclear
good.
capabilities. Europe and NATO stepping up to 5%, locking down our southwest border. It's been an honor to work with Christy and Tom and everyone else down there to lock it to 0, operational control of our border. And then it's getting after and going after narco-terrorists and designated terrorist organizations in our own hemisphere. As I've said, and I'll say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco-terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves and allowed them to come across the border. Cartels take over community, 20 million people, hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off. We're taking the fight to these designated terror organizations. And it's exactly what we're doing. So we're stopping the drugs, we're striking the boats, we're defeating narco-terrorists, and we're standing.
And you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%. And
This man just said drugs coming in by sea is down 91%. Why do you think it's down 91%? That is a phenomenal stat. That data is phenomenal. This is how we protect our people in America.
I don't know who the 9% is,
I'm not sure either, sir, because
but down 91% by sea.
we've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now, which is the entire point, right? Deterrence has to matter, not arrest and hand over and then do it again.
And he's right. He's right. When you the border they're talking about as well, Border Patrol, they're bored because there's no one trying to cross, and that's a deterrent. When you strike hard against illegal crime and illegal activity, and you set a precedent and you show them, hey, we're not playing, no more kid gloves, like he said, that's going to stop other people from even attempting to do something illegal or to come into this country illegal or to try to ship drugs via boat or any other kind of form of transportation into the United States of America. That's the deterrent. And that's the leadership we need. These guys are doing a hell of a job to try to get our country back to where we can not have to worry about drugs being in the country and crime being in the country, illegal immigrants being in the country. And the Democrats will make you think that Trump is doing the wrong thing. When has it ever been a negative thing, a wrong thing in the mainstream media where drugs being in this country is good and the president stopping that from happening is bad? When? The war on drugs many, many, many years ago was on the mainstream media everywhere, supporting the war on drugs. And I believe it was Reagan who had the war on drugs. There was no pushback on, oh, well, we don't know what you guys are doing. We don't like the process. Look, we don't know the actual order of which the whole striking the boat twice and killing the drug cartel members. We don't know the order because it is legal to do that depending on what the order was, depending on what the mission was. And in my true, authentic opinion, why is there not an order to completely delete them? Because they would do that in a heartbeat. They don't care about anybody, including the United States of America. This is the greatest country, but it's also the most hated country because we're the greatest country. If that makes any sense. And it does. When you're that good of a country, people want to be there, but at the same time, the people that aren't in this country, they hate it. Just look at the people that are in the country that talk crap about it all the time, but they're here. They're not in their own original countries. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you think that Hegseth was justifiably right in what he did with the boats, the cartel boats, or if you think he was wrong. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell for my other videos, and I'll see you next time. Peace.